Welcome to the Usher training video for Cornerstone. I'm glad you tuned in, which means that you're interested in serving the Lord Jesus Christ in this way. You doing this is a ministry. It's not just a task. The purpose of being an usher for Cornerstone is first and foremost to provide the impression of Christ to those who walk into the doors. You're actually the first impression that most people will get. So we want you to warmly greet people with a smile, with warm words, welcoming words, and the way you treat them when they first come in, and what you give them, and everything involved, which we'll get into more later. The other thing is that your role as an usher is to be an encouraging guide for people. So you're guiding them into the worship area, our worship service room. And you're also guiding them to Christ in a small way, or a large way, depending on how the conversation goes. And also your role as an usher is to be watchful and attentive to the needs of those in the congregation. So whatever happens, whatever questions people have, they shall know that they can go to an usher to get the answer or to get help. So this is your role as an usher. It's very important to the working of our church, especially on Sundays as people come for worship service. Some requirements that we have for ushers, I'm just going to list them off here. Give a genuine welcome to everyone, like I said. That's your first and foremost. Deal sensitively with people. Some people like to be welcomed warmly. Some people are introverts or extroverts. Just be sensitive to that. Don't overwhelm people if they don't want to be overwhelmed. Overwhelm them if they want to be overwhelmed. That takes some practice. Handle unusual circumstances with tact and imagination. So, for example, if a mother comes in and she has a small child and the child starts crying and making a fuss, then one of the ushers can go over and try to assist that situation. Now, you don't know why the child is crying. You may talk to the mother and ask if there's any way you can help. And that way the mother can communicate to you in some way that you could get a glass of water or whatever it may be, or show her where the bathroom is or something. But you take initiative to try to deal with the situation. Carry out all the responsibilities that we will go through in this video with love and concern for the people that you're connecting with. And most importantly, though, it should be common sense, but I speak to it because it's not common sense, is dress nicely. Business casual is good. No ripped jeans, no holes in your pants, no strings hanging from your shorts. No shorts when you're ushering. If you're a female, you can wear a nice skirt, would be nice, or you can wear pants, it's fine. But just whatever you choose to wear, it's just business casual, something that you would wear to work, except for those days at work where it's dress down days. No flip-flops, no t-shirts, things like that. Sweatshirts, if they're nice, fleeces are okay, things like that. And then the one thing that I want to stress with every usher is this one phrase you never, ever, ever, ever say. And that is, I don't know. If somebody asks you something, you never say, I don't know. You say, I will find out. And you go and talk to somebody that would know what you don't know. It could be me, it could be one of the other leaders in Cornerstone or in the church. So, but you can just never tell anybody, I don't know, and just leave it there at that. Because what we want to give impression is that you as an usher will take responsibility for whatever need they have and see that that need is met. For this part of the video, I'm going to go through your training and responsibilities that you have as an usher. And we're going to begin with you when you arrive on a Sunday at 10:40 a.m. The reason why you need to get here earlier is because you need to set up some things before others that may come early, though that often is not the case in our congregation. But there will be a few stragglers that come in early, and we want to be prepared for that. So I'm going to pretend I'm an usher, and I'm just arrived here in the kitchen area, and I'm going into the fellowship hall in order to prepare. So it's about 10:40, and I've come, and here we go. Follow me. Sometimes there might be some people in here preparing for a Sunday school class or whatever, so we can just do our own thing. But I come over here, and the first thing I do as an usher is I grab usher pins. And I put on an usher pin, which says usher. This way you don't forget your role. If you forget you're an usher, other people remind you that you're an usher. Okay, here we go. So, I am now an usher. Everyone who sees me knows that that is my role today. The next part is that we want to set up the usher table. So, I need to use the things here, Bibles, name tags, and then we also call these the welcome forms that we will have out on the usher table. But first, we need to go get the table. So follow me. I can open up the doors as well to prepare for people to come. The table is right in here. Here's where the table is. This area is where we will set up the table. Along the wall, right across from the kitchen. And then we go in here and we get the stuff that we need. We'll get a couple of these. The cup of pens and Purell. You can set it up any way you would like. You also need some Bibles, any publications that we're giving out for free. Put some Bibles, and then the name tags, we only need enough for this day. So this one's almost gone, so I'll use another part here. And the way we set these up usually is, the reason we use name tags, it's very important, is because it helps us know each other and remember each other's names. As well as when new people come, that way they will know our names and we'll know their name without having that awkward moment. So everybody wears a name tag. So you gently encourage people to put on a name tag as they come in. Even the people who are regular and may feel like, oh, you know, everybody knows me, I don't need a name tag. You just gently say, please put on a name tag, because it helps the people who may not know your name remember. And if they still don't want to, then, you know, we don't push it, but we just encourage them. So you take the markers out, put them next to the name tags. And basically this is what it will look like. There is one other sign we need to put out here. It's this sign. We don't put it out yet, but at some point you will see the purpose of why we have this sign. So for now we'll just put it like that. So this is how you set up the welcome table. One of the key things that isn't here is the worship bulletin. And we will always put that on here, and plus you will be holding some of those in your hand. So now the next part is, once this is ready, follow me. We go into prepare the room for worship. So you stand here and you look at the room and make sure that the chairs seem ordered in rows. The lights are on, and we will go put on the air conditioning. Let me show you how to do that. The control for the air conditioning is here, and then also opposite on the other wall on the room in the same location, except on the different side of the column. And the way you do this, if you can zoom in, or just so they can see. So you just begin by opening the panel, and there's a button labeled mode, and you just push this until you see the word cool appear over in this right top corner. So once, twice, cool. And you can hear now that the fan is on and the air conditioning is running. So to shut it off, you just do the same. You just push mode until you see the word off appear over here. And there goes, it shuts off. So really all you need to remember is mode. The big number here is the room temperature. The small number that appears on the right is the temperature that you're trying to cool it down to. So that's the air conditioning. So for the air conditioning, it's important to know that we only use the air conditioning in the warmer months of the year. So it's really up to you as an usher to determine, is it really warm in the room and should we turn on the air conditioning? In the winter months, when we need heat, you don't have to worry about that because we have the heat automated, so it just comes on to a certain temperature and shuts off automatically. So it's only the air conditioning you as an usher need to worry about. The next part is after you make sure the air conditioning is working well, you just want to walk around the room and look for garbage or things that need to be picked up and thrown away or tidied up to make sure that the room is ready for people to come in and worship. So I usually just walk down the aisles and scan the rows of seats to see if there's anything just laying around. Make sure you check the floors as well. Like this water bottle, it shouldn't be here. And this is some paper we can pick up. That's my stuff. This shouldn't be left like that. So you just want the place to look tidy and neat. So after you've checked the room, you've checked the lighting, you've looked at the temperature of the room and make sure that's good, then the room is pretty much ready. So then as ushers, because there's usually 2 or 3 ushers, then you should be doing this all together. You might arrive at different times, so whoever's here earliest, just get started on it. And then when all the ushers are here, you should have a moment of prayer to prepare yourselves and ready yourselves before the people start coming and you greet them. There is one usher that we're going to have here in this area, and the reason is because we want to greet people as they come to the church. So one of the Cornerstone ushers will actually be stationed either at the top of the stairs here or at the bottom of the stairs. So whatever you feel most comfortable with. I would probably choose the bottom of the stairs. And then as people come, you just smile, warmly greet them, say, welcome to CCCS or welcome to Cornerstone, or just say good morning, glad you came, and then shake their hands. And that's simply it. You're just greeting them. Because the people that come at this point are coming to either Cornerstone congregation or to the Mandarin congregation. And because the Mandarin worship is above us at this point at the same time. So if you know they're Cornerstone people, because you're familiar with them, then you can greet them in that way. If you're assuming you don't know who they are, just say good morning, glad you're here, good to see you, something like that. And that's it. You're just being a warm, welcoming person. Okay, so now that the room is ready, we'll assume that we have greeted people. When we greet people, we're out here near the table. We don't have to necessarily be like this, stuck to the wall. What I would like the ushers to do, and let's just say this is a bulletin that I'm holding, is to actually not stand here, but to stand on this side of the table. So that when people first come, they can greet. I wouldn't rather have them near the door, but it's very crowded right here, and as you can see, there's not much room. So right here is good for one usher to stand. Another usher could be standing in the double doors, greeting people, and if it's crowded, helping people find seats. But really, you only need one usher here to greet people, offer them a worship bulletin, shake their hand if you want, or just smile at them, and then instruct them to take a free publication or fill out a name tag. Also, make sure, even though you're wearing your usher pin, put on a name tag. If you're asking people to put on a name tag, you should be wearing a name tag as well. So then we'll assume that everybody is ushered in. There are some late stragglers, and Pastor Jeff, myself, or somebody else gets up to start the service. Once that starts and people are getting settled, then we shut the doors. So I'm going to pretend that happens. And here we go. Pull up the door stops. And we're shutting the doors. Music begins. And now when people enter in to come to the worship service, but these doors are shut, then we instruct them to go in the alternate entrance. But before you do that, you want to put this sign out like this, just to let people know that there is an alternate entrance. So here we go. So one usher will stand here and then direct people to the alternate entrance, give them a worship bulletin and greet them warmly. And then another usher will be where I'm going to show you. So people will walk down the aisle here, and these kind of things like this on the floor, if you're an usher, you pick them up and throw them away. Don't just walk by it. Come in here, see there's a sign, Cornerstone Worship. And this is where we will come in for the alternate worship entrance. So here we are, back into the worship room. So another usher will be standing here, or just hanging around in this area, so when people come in late, they will be able to make sure they have a worship bulletin or direct them to where to seat it. But if there's plenty of seats, it's really just a warm welcome again, and let them be seated on their own. So this is the prayer corner that we've designated for after service when people come to pray or have someone pray for them. So as an usher, your job is to make sure these seats right here stay clear. So oftentimes people will come late and they will come and sit in these seats. But as an usher, then you can gently just come over and instruct them to sit in another seat because this is the prayer corner. So please remember to do that because it's a little awkward for those who are sitting here when it's instructed that they can come sit next to the piano for prayer corner, and then there's people already sitting there and they're not sitting here to be prayed for, so they have to move at that point. So now we're in the service. The service has begun, and once the music is going and coming down to an end, then all the ushers can come into the room together. And the ushers should be sitting themselves somewhere in the back of the worship room. So for example, then I will choose to sit here. And the reason why I want you to sit in the back is so that you can keep a view of everyone who's in the room. And the reason being is that you as an usher are to be aware of any needs that may arise during the service. For example, if someone starts coughing and they can't seem to get over it, then you just go out, get a cup of water, and bring it to that person during the service. It doesn't matter if it's during the sermon or whatever part. It's just that is a sign. That's just a caring for that person's need at that moment. And then you could ask them, is there anything else they need, quietly when they do that. That'll be a good show of consideration because everybody sitting around that person will feel bad for that person too, because we've all been there having a tickle that we can't control and just hacking at it, and you're in a public place and you're embarrassed and things like that. So that's the kind of thing you're looking for to children that may be unsettled. You could try to go, if you be imaginative. So if you can go to find some kind of piece of paper and a pen, you could give it to the mother and then they could draw on it or something like that. Anything like that you think of that can help a situation. So that's what you do during the service. There's one key point during the service that you need to count how many people are present for worship. This is for the records of the church, and so we can understand the trends that may be happening, whether we're growing slowly or quickly or decreasing in number, and try to understand why. So it's very important. So the time of the service you do this is during, right at the beginning of communion. So when whoever's leading communion gets up to start speaking about communion and what it means, then that's when the ushers will get up and count. It's better to have two ushers count and then compare your numbers. And so if those numbers are off, then count again and just try to get it. The key is don't forget to count yourself. That's a common mistake, is we count and we don't remember to count ourselves. But we're present as well, so we need to be in that number. So after you count, then I will show you where to go write it. So it's in the front lobby. And actually, if it's during the service, we would not go out this way, but I'm going to go out this way because it's shorter distance. We would go out the alternate entrance. So it's just right here, up these stairs in the front lobby on this form. So you just put the number here, right next to English Congregation Worship, under the date that applies to the Sunday that it is. So August 14th. Next week we would write in right here in this box. So the service is just completed. The pastor has given the benediction, or somebody has prayed the closing prayer. So then as ushers you would rise, or actually you should already be up here at the doors anticipating the end of the service, and then you just open these doors, prop them open, so that it helps with the traffic not to be trying to open the doors while everybody's trying to get out at once. Open the doors and then take down and put away this table because that will be in the way of all the traffic that's coming out. So then we'll take these things, put them back where we found them, put the table back in the copy room where we got it, and then you can leave this usher pin on at least for the first 10 or 15 minutes after service so people can still come to you and ask you questions, but then remember to take it off and put it in the usher pin box. And that is it. So thank you for your time, and I hope that your time spending serving as an usher at Cornerstone is a blessing to you as well as for the church people.